Tonight on Joy News Prime, MENZGOLD Chief Executive Nanapia Mensah, in his first news conference since his release on bail, lays out his terms for payment of deposited funds which have been locked up in his gold dealership for more than a year.
Assist us make full recovery of the amount owed MENZGOLD by Horizon Royal Diamond in Dubai. To unfreeze our companies and my personal bank account and asset for us to utilize these as vehicles in our bid to resolve our liabilities immediately.
Customers, however, say they are disappointed there were no clear timelines for the payment of their locked-up deposits.
My expectation was to have a payment plan, thinking that they might have consulted government to have known what government intend to do. That's quite a bit disappointing, but we believe there's still hope.
National security operatives arrest Nigerian national for attempting to illegally acquire a Ghanaian passport.
I was not eager to get a passport simply because I want to use to travel or anything. I just want to have a Ghanaian passport.
Are you not proud of being a Nigerian?
I'm proud of being Nigerian and I'm also proud to be a Ghanaian.
We'll also bring you our series on porous borders, which tonight looks at the concerns of the people of Chache, a suburb of Bole on Ghana's border with Ivory Coast. In business,
President Akufo-Addo justifies banking sector reforms, saying it will ensure the private sector gets adequate financial support to take advantage of the African Free Trade Continental Agreement.
I'm hopeful that SAGA will strengthen our SOEs, JVCs, and OSCs, promote sound governance and institutional performance, and have them play significant roles in the development of our economy.
Emmanuel Abajuafi will be here in about 30 minutes with the business news. Meanwhile, board members of state-owned enterprises whose poor judgment and indiscretion result in financial loss could face imprisonment.
And is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 3,000 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment not less than 5 years and not more than 10 years or to both.
I'm Israel Lion. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlimli here in Accra with digital address GA099-2539. Stay tuned in. The CEO of MENZGOLD, Nanapia Mensah, says he will be unable to pay the locked-up investments of depositors unless government unfreezes assets belonging to the company. Addressing his first news conference 9 months after he left Ghana and ended up in a Dubai jail, Nanapia Mensah, popularly known as Nam1, also asked government to help his company make full recovery of his over $30 million he says is locked up with a Dubai-based company, Horizon Royal Diamond. We will come to the news conference in a bit, but let's look at the MENZGOLD story so far. So as we have it, October 28, 2014, Bank of Ghana discovers Men's Bank is operating illegally as a microfinance in Kaswa. The company later changed its name to Men's Bank Ghana Company Limited. April 13, 2016, BOG warns general public against the deposit-taking operations of Men's Bank. July 22, 2016, BOG writes to Men's Bank cautioning it against its unlicensed deposit-taking activity. And then August 3, the company denies taking deposits. Then August 16, 2016, Minerals Commission discloses company has a license to only purchase gold locally and to export, saying this license had, however, expired. July 19, 2017, BOG cautions company to desist from taking further deposits. Men's Bank then changes its name to MENZGOLD. It also informs the BOG of its subsidiary, Brew Marketing Limited, where clients are directed to go and purchase that gold deposit and deposit it with MENZGOLD for dividend. And then on September 19, 2017, Minerals Commission describes company's operation as unauthorized business activities. August 6, 2018, BOG issues another warning to the general public over MENZGOLD, but its CEO responds on Twitter, jabbing the regulator to focus on failed banks. August 14, 2018, Nanapia Mensah apologizes to Bank of Ghana and says MENZGOLD is cooperating with the regulator to find an amicable solution. September 7, 2018, SEC orders MENZGOLD Ghana Limited to stop trading in gold collectibles, letting off panic and anxiety among clients. On September 12, 2018, MENZGOLD workers, they manhandled a Joy News reporter, a pregnant TV3 journalist, carrying another siege at the company's premises. Demonstrations continued. November 21, 2018, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta rules out bailout for MENZGOLD clients. December 4, 2018, statement from MENZGOLD directing all staff to proceed on leave and return to work on December 20. And then on December 20, 2018, another MENZGOLD siege as desperate clients fear Christmas without cash. Now, on December 21, 2018, a client of MENZGOLD petitions the presidency and 5 other key state institutions in a bid to retrieve his locked-up cash. MENZGOLD also petitions Parliament over its inability to pay clients. January 8, 2019, aggrieved customers of MENZGOLD defied police orders to stage a demonstration in the Ashanti region capital. 7 of them were arrested. January 29, 2019, Circuit Court issues warrant for the arrest of the CEO wanted for defrauding by false pretense and money laundering. January 10, High Court dismisses the case filed by MENZGOLD against VOG and SEC. January 14, news filters saying that #1 has been in custody for months in Dubai. July 11, 2019, Nana Pia Mensah arrives in Ghana and is arrested by the police. He was subsequently remanded into police custody by the Circuit Court to assist in investigations. July 26, 2019, state prosecutors leveled charges including defrauding by false pretenses, carrying on deposit taking without license, money laundering against Nana Apia Mensah. And then Nana Apia Mensah was granted a 1 billion cedi bail by the court. 3 persons were to show evidence of owning properties worth that amount to satisfy their bail. August 6, 2019, his lawyers plead with court to review bail conditions. Court grants request. 3 persons no longer required to show evidence of owning properties worth 1 billion cedi. September 3, trial to resume at Circuit Court. And then today, the CEO of MENZGOLD, Nana Apia Mensah, he broke his silence. Maxwell Agbagba was there at that news conference and brings you more.
Now from the counter-terrorism unit of the Ghana Police Service are also here to ensure that a serene atmosphere is created for this press conference. Well, earlier within the auditorium, journalists who had gathered there were asked to come out for a thorough search to be conducted before the press conference starts here at the MJ Grand Hotel. The Chief Executive Officer of MENZGOLD, Nana Apia Mensah, as part of his demands, is also asking government to come clear on which state institution has regulatory oversight for his line of business.
Number 1, to assist us make full recovery of the amount owed MENZGOLD by Horizon Royal Diamond in Dubai. As an act of good faith, we are willing to engage the Attorney General's office on the best possible way for them to aid MENZGOLD by employing international law and diplomatic relations to ensure we achieve this objective. 2, to unfreeze our companies and my personal bank account and asset for us to utilize these as vehicles to get productive in order to meet our liabilities, owed to our customers and some business associates in our bid to resolve our liabilities immediately. As of now, Brew Marketing Consult, MENZGOLD and I cannot credit or debit any bank account in Ghana. This is why it is highly imperative to consider this kind request. 3, to clearly give direction as to which government agent or agency has jurisdiction to regulate the activity of gold collectible or jewelry trade in Ghana, just so we can apply for the necessary certifications in order to proceed with our business in a fair and sound manner.
He would not say exactly when he intends to start paying the dividends and deposits of his customers, explaining his ability to pay is tied to the disbursement of his funds with a Dubai-based company and the unfreezing of his accounts by the state.
This is tied to the fact that we cannot access money. We just can't access money. We can't, do without the bank account, especially when we have money laundering allegations, So once once that is done, once we engage government, whatever decision they take, and we would also get to the customer's leadership, and then we would all join, and then do consensus building, you know, then agree on timelines that would be of mutual benefit. So we'll definitely, you know, publish the timelines, but we would need you to be just a little bit patient.
He has also been responding to allegations that he fled the country in the heat of the MENZGOLD controversy.
I would interest you and everybody, all and sundry here, to note that I did not escape from Ghana to Dubai. I went to Dubai. I didn't even go to Dubai first. I went overseas. So I went to certain places in Africa, you know, all in the pursuit of debt recovery, company asset, MENZGOLD asset. And then I went from there to Europe, and then I went to Asia, and I did not escape. And also, I would want to put it on record that I, Nana Appiah Mensah, did not jump bail. Okay? First of all, the Yoko invitation and, let's say, the bail, the self-recognizance bill that was granted me, did not have, it wasn't tied to a travel ban. Okay? It wasn't tied to a travel ban. Number two, the day before I would depart, I don't want to commit anybody to anything, but the day before I would depart, I informed the Yoko. As a matter of fact, we can check Yoko's record. Okay, I signed in at their front desk. I visited Yoko the day before I departed our jurisdiction. So I did not escape Ghana to Dubai or any, you know, where in the world. So I'll leave it at that.
I've also been speaking to the chairman of the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of MENZGOLD, and he's been telling me that 23 of their members have died as a result of non-payments of their deposits by MENZGOLD. There was a 1-minute silence for all MENZGOLD customers who have lost their lives as a result of the ongoing challenges.
23 persons or customers have lost their life. And for that matter, he has even created a minute silence for them. And then actually, most of our customers are still bedridden. Some are in hospitals, and the frustration is too much.
Vice Chairman of the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of MENZGOLD, Isaac Nyakun, says he came here with expectation that Nana Appiah Mensah will announce the date when they would begin the payments of deposits to customers. He says he's a bit disappointed.
My expectation was to have a payment plan, thinking that they might have consulted government to have known what government intend to do, so that they coming up with a payment plan would have been ideal. But it didn't go in our way and as the way we expected. So that's quite a bit disappointing. But we believe there's still hope. That means the ball has now been thrown back to government. Government should come up with a committee quickly to speed up the retrieval of the money from Dubai, which is evident. It should be able to come up with a committee that when it's unfreezing the accounts of MENZGOLD, it will not be that MENZGOLD alone and its management have access to the account, and that it will be a collaboration between customers, MENZGOLD management, and government authorities having access to the accounts and operating the accounts in disbursement of funds to customers. You get me? So we don't want the situation where government will say is not going to get involved with the MENZGOLD issue, and that the issue is in court, and that the court proceedings ends before customers will have their money. No.
Now, our checks with government sources on the demands by the MENZGOLD chief executive as well as the customers meanwhile indicate government's position on the matter hasn't changed. They say aggrieved customers should turn to the courts to retrieve their funds from the company. Now, the MENZGOLD chief executive Nana Appiah Mensah also made some points as he raised some issues. He indicated that he didn't flee the jurisdiction and that he announced or told Yoko, informed Yoko about his move. I have been joined in the studio by Emefa Pao, who is with the security desk here at Joy News, and she's been doing some checks as far as the claims by the MENZGOLD chief executive is concerned, and she's telling us what she's been able to find out. So thank you very much for making time to speak with us.
Thank you very much.
First of all, what have you picked up?
Okay, so we've checked with the EOCO and then also CID, because we realized that at some point the CID issued that alert. But let me start with the EOCO. So what we're told, or what our sources reveal, is that indeed Nana Appiah-Mensah, during the investigating processes, because you know that once you are on that process or you are being investigated by EOCO, you need to be able to, let them know at every point in time where you are. So from September, that was around that time that they started this investigative process. So there's a logbook at EOCO. We're yet to get a hold of it, but from what we've seen from that logbook is that he actually turned himself in at every point in time, made them aware where he was at every point in time. So what's at September thereabout that he had to leave the shores of this country to Nigeria first. We're told that he informed, but we are not told whether he explicitly informed EOCO that I'm out of the jurisdiction to Nigeria, then to the UK, then to Dubai, where he ended up. That we are told, the EOCO, our sources are actually checking that whether indeed he stated specifically that this is where I'm going to be. So where the CID also comes in, we're told we try to find answers to why, if the EOCO was doing this process, why then did the CID also take up the same process and issue that arrest warrant where Interpol was brought in? So what our checks told, or what our sources tell us from the CID, is that at the time when they issued that warrant, they are claiming that they were not aware that EOCO was doing the same thing, which has been disputed by Nana Appiah-Mensah's team. Right. What they say is that if they were not aware, then how come, because when EOCO was investigating, it was all over in the news that this is what was happening. So they are surprised that the CID is saying that they were not aware that EOCO was investigating the process. So that's why they say they also issued that Interpol warrant for the arrest of Nana Appiah-Mensah. But from our checks, it looks like what Nana Appiah-Mensah said at the press conference, more like could be partly true. Right. So, but we are still checking. Once we get hold of that logbook, of course, Prime will be the first to put it out. Thank
you very much, MFR Power, the security desk, bringing us that update there. Now, in other news, board members of state-owned enterprises who exercise poor judgment and indiscretion leading to financial loss could face a prison term of up to 10 years. For President Akufo-Addo, the performance of a large number of state enterprises have been disappointing. According to him, poor governance practices, financial mismanagement, and unfocused objectives have rendered the enterprises ineffective in their contribution to national development. The president is, however, hoping that culture will change following passage of the new State Interest and Governance Authority Act in May this year, and which has since been assented to by the president.
The outcome of that exercise culminated in the passage of the State Interest and Governance Authority SAGA bill in April 2019. And I gave my assent to it in June 2019 as Act 990 of 2019, paving the way for the establishment of the State Interest and Governance Authority as the single entity. Unlike the previous bodies, the Enabling Act has given this new authority an extended mandate, not only to monitor the performance of the SOEs and JVCs, but also to streamline ownership issues and aspects of the operations of other specified entities, such as their governance issues, including the regulatory institutions. The establishment of SAGA, as contained in Section 4 of the Act, will, amongst others, develop a code of corporate governance to guide and promote sound governance and institutional performance of specified entities, assist the minister responsible for finance to assess borrowing levels of SOEs and OSEs in accordance with the Public Financial Management Act, Act 921, and ensure the dividends due to the state are paid by specified bodies. It is worth pointing out that with the coming into force of this authority, the statutes, which establish both the State Enterprises Commission and the Divestiture Implementation Committee, have been repealed, with all their assets and liabilities transferred to the new entity. Another critical provision made under Section 7 of this new Act ensures that the days when board members and corporate executives flout rules and regulations and are left off the hook are over. As per the Act, and I quote, a member of the board who contributes subsection 1 or 2 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 3,000 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment not less than 5 years and not more than 10 years or to both, unquote. The foregoing is a strong indication of the extent to which the barometer of corporate governance and executive decision-making has been lifted.
Well, and staying with the corporate sector, excessive risk-taking and poor governance are key among the myriad of reasons accounting for the recent revocation of the licenses of 23 savings and loans companies. In an interview, Joy News' Deputy Director of the Banking Supervision Department at Bank of Ghana, Elliot Amakong, said the latest crackdown forms part of the regulator's strategy to clean up the financial sector and restore the public's confidence in its operations. He spoke with Joy News' Head of Investigations, Malik Dabu.
The past 2 years has not been very easy. We've had to embark on this very difficult journey of cleaning up the banking system. So yes, it's been a difficult journey.
So this is a cleanup?
Yes, as we've put out previously, beginning with the banks, an attempt was made at comprehensively cleaning up the banking system. That was based on information that we had that most of these institutions didn't have good asset quality. So this journey began, which started with the revocation of licenses of 2 banks in 2017, and what had followed on.
You're talking Capital Bank and UT Bank.
Yes, what had followed on therefrom. In total, 9 banks had their licenses revoked.
Notably, all of them domestic or local banks, or indigenous banks, the majority of them.
Well, the majority of them, yes. And then followed up with the microfinance institutions early this year, and then this is the last set, which is for the savings and loans and the finance house subsectors.
Let's start from that last point, which is where it's bleeding currently. At 23 of them, you said that all 23 of them were insolvent. For the layman, what does that mean?
Yeah, now when we say the institutions are insolvent, it means they are not carrying the appropriate capital that they require per the regulatory requirements to operate as a viable banking institution. So either capital is impaired or non-existent, which is culminating in maybe serious liquidity challenges as well.
And you're using technical terms, capital is impaired or non-existent. What do you mean by capital is impaired? Because as far as the customers know, the institutions are functioning. They can get their money when they want it.
Well, as a requirement for a bank to be licensed to take depositors' funds, it's required that shareholders would put in their stake, which is the capital that the shareholders themselves put in, to ensure that the depositors' funds would be safeguarded in the case where the funds are stressed.
You're watching Joy News, we're taking a break, but still ahead, national security operatives arrest Nigerian national for attempting to illegally acquire a Ghanaian passport.
I was not eager to get a passport simply because I want to use to travel or anything. I just want to have a Ghanaian passport. That is.
And in business, President Akufo-Addo justifies banking sector reform, saying it will ensure the private sector gets adequate financial support to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
I'm hopeful that SAGA will strengthen our SOEs, JVCs, and OSCs, promote sound governance and institutional performance, and have them play significant roles in the development of our economy.
Stay tuned, we'll be back in a bit. National security operatives have arrested a Nigerian national for attempting to fraudulently acquire a Ghanaian passport at the passport office here in Accra, but for the intervention of the National Security Operatives Don or Donny, who used similar means to acquire a voter's ID and a birth certificate, almost secured the passport. Speaking to Joy News at the headquarters of the VNI, where he has been held, the suspect told Joy News, Latif Idris, he wanted to belong.
This guy has for himself the birth certificate of the Republic of Ghana, showing that he is a Ghanaian born at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He says his father is a Ghanaian, his mother a Ghanaian, and born on the 24th of November 1989. But as it is turned out, this guy has no trace whatsoever to a Ghanaian parent. He was going through the process illegally until he hit a snag and was picked up by operatives of the national security. Now, questions that are coming up are: one, how easy it was for this Nigerian national to, first of all, go through the process to acquire for himself a voter's ID of the Republic of Ghana.
Yeah, nationality, a Nigerian who was based in Ghana for a very long time.
You've been able to acquire for yourself a voter's ID, which I would like to show here. So you have a voter's ID, Don K.O. How did you manage to get for yourself a voter's ID of the Republic of Ghana, you not being a Ghanaian?
Like as I said earlier, that because I've been a place and I made myself as part of the people. So if you are part of the people, then why would you do what the people, what you find at the place? So I decided to also to do everything that is.
How easy was it for you to get yourself a national voter's ID?
Well, when they were doing the voting ID, when they were doing the ID card, which I went to join the queue, as other people joined the queue, so I joined the queue, and I did it.
And when you were asked questions, how did you successfully evade the protocol to get for yourself the ID card?
I was able to answer the question they asked me, and that is all. That is all I did.
This young man successfully got for himself a birth certificate showing boldly, as you see, that he was born at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, when in fact he was born in Nigeria and a Nigerian. Now, when I confronted him with this document, what this Nigerian told us is that he felt the need to associate better with the Ghanaian people since he has lived in this country for a very long time. And then you also successfully acquired for yourself. Where were you born?
In that case, I was born in Nigeria.
Sorry?
I was born in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, very well. But here in the birth certificate, you said you were born at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Do we have a Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Nigeria where you come from?
It's not necessary that we have a Kolebu Hospital in Nigeria. The Kolebu Hospital is in Ghana here.
So you were born in Ghana?
That is what I stated on my what do you call it, on my birth certificate, because.
Were you born in Ghana?
I've answered you the question that I am not born, but I'm a freeborn in Ghana here.
So you lied to the authorities on that score? You said your father is also a Ghanaian. Is that the case?
Speaking honestly,
is your father a Ghanaian?
My father was not a Ghanaian.
So your father is late. He was a Nigerian.
Yeah, but he died in Ghana here.
So you lied again on that score. Your mother, you said, is a Ghanaian. Is your mother a Ghanaian?
Yeah, my mother is a Ghanaian.
Okay. So why did you go through this process to get for yourself the traveling passport of the Republic of Ghana?
Good. You asked a very nice question, which shall be able to explain to you. I just want to have a Ghanaian passport.
Are you not proud of being a Nigerian?
I'm proud of being Nigerian, and I'm also proud to be a Ghanaian.
How many of your colleagues have successfully gone through the process to acquire for themselves a Ghanaian passport like you were trying to do?
I have never seen anyone before, so I can't actually figure out.
So you live all by yourself?
Yeah, I live by myself. I live with one of my friends, but it's not around too.
You said you are a pastor. You run a church, right? What's the name of your church?
I don't run a church. I pastor in a church.
Sources at the National Security say they are processing the suspect and will subsequently hand him over to the immigration officers for the desired action to be taken.
Now, immigration, customs and police officers stationed at Ghana's border with Ivory Coast at Chache, a suburb of Bole, say they've stepped up security there following reports by residents that former Ivorian rebels and militia are integrating into Ghanaian communities there. Although there is vigilance at the Chache border, the existence of 10 unapproved borders, which are usually unmanned, has left the frontier vulnerable. Savannah region correspondent Isaac Nyonya has today's Porous Border Story, our series highlighting the situation at Ghana's point of entry. His report is read to you.
This gentleman has just crossed over from the Ivorian border into Ghana upon seeing our camera. He wants to find out why we're filming, describing himself as an Ivorian immigration officer. But Ghanaian police officers insisted on proof of his identity, after which he was instructed to return to his country.
We want to follow you there, also see.
That is the kind of vigilance exhibited at the main border here at Chache. But the story at the unapproved routes is completely different. Chache is a suburb of a Bole district in the newly created Savannah region. The western part of the district hosts Ghana's border with a neighbor which has endured a full-scale military conflict in 2011. That's Côte d'Ivoire. It is a farming community with about 2,000 peasant farmers and fisher folk, with which comes petty traders crossing to and fro the two countries every single day. This border is of high security and economic importance to Ghana, given that criminally minded people continue to exploit the violent past of Ivory Coast and significant business activities go on here every day. It seems to require much more attention. At least that was what the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, did, establishing and deploying border guards who were housed in these quarters that look abandoned now and rotting away.
We are in the middle of Chache River, and Chache serves as the border between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Because of the immigration and NSF officials, together with the police who are there to ensure that Ghana's security is intact. We don't have any artificial border here. It's the river that serves as such a border between Ghana and La Côte d'Ivoire.
It is a natural border with a river sourced from the White Volta extending to the Bui and Akonsomo dams. From this water source, Ivory Coast has built a system that distributes water to nearest Ivorian communities. But for the Ghanaian communities on this side, they do not have access to potable water, even though they live by it. Lack of potable water is not the only problem here. Both residents and border officials posted here grapple with unmotorable roads and terrible communication networks on a daily basis.
For the management, we are having a lot of challenges because, you know, the river is not a man-made thing. And such things, flood normally occurs whenever there is heavy rain, like what happened just recently over the weekends. It rained for about almost 10 or 12 hours and all here was flooded. It wiped away a certain woman who serves around the boundary of the river. It wiped away her. About 5 tubers of yarn was washed away. And my headache mostly here is that we don't have life jackets. When the people are crossing, they don't wear life jackets. And previously, there happened to be some ground issues. That's the Ivorian part, not Ghana part. We have about 4 routes to Cote d'Ivoire from this place. It's not only Chache. The security personnel, we patrol, but our challenge is the road network. So they've been patrolling there most often, but because of the road network, sometimes they find it difficult to go around there.
That is Zonal NADMO Director for Chache, Afisata Abdullahi, with a list of the problems. In an emergency, persons will need to travel to Mandarin or Bole, the capital, before accessing network to make a phone call. Besides the main border here in Chache, there are 10 other unapproved routes in this small farming community, and they are patronized by hundreds of people, both Ghanaian and non-Ghanaian. Dollar Power is one of these unapproved routes. It is a hub for illegal mining, hence the name Dollar Power, and records of smuggling and other criminal activity here abound. In 2012, a military officer was shot and killed while escorting then DCE for the area, James Jeka, in Waka Waka, one of the communities here in Dollar Power. In 2014, some sub-chiefs were abducted by rebels from Cote d'Ivoire's rebels. This happened in Tuna in the Sola Tuna Kaba district in the then northern region of Ghana. Residents here are mostly a mix of Ivorian, Togolese and Ghanaians due to intermarriages and movement of people across the border.
There's free movement. We go there, they come here. You can travel there anytime, provided you meet. If you have a car, provided the pantu is working, then you can cross. But if it's not working, then you have to leave your car and go in the boat. Only a few of them can speak our languages here, like the next village across, Vonkoro. Most of them have married from Ghana, so we can speak the Safalaba language easily. Even the chief of Vonkoro is from Sonyo. The mother is from Sonyo. So that's why I'm saying that the intermarriages have made as we cannot cut ourselves from them.
Mustafa Idrisu is a Ghanaian and has come to the border today to receive his aunt, who is now Ivorian. She's attending the funeral of Mustafa's brother. Here, people virtually live in both countries at the time, with their bedrooms in Ghana and their offices or farms in Cote d'Ivoire. I left the main border knowing the security personnel there were on high alert, but for the 10 unapproved routes here in Chache, they remain unguarded. Isaac Nongyat's report for Joy News.
Right, and that'll be it for the bulletin tonight, but do stay tuned. Stay tuned in for our Hotline documentary, which comes right after this.